So you should see on the screen a little button that you click and say, OK. If you're not already familiar with AARP, we are the largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering Americans 50 and older to choose how they live as they age and to age with confidence. With a nationwide presence, AARP strengthens communities and advocates for what matters most to the more than 100 million Americans 50 plus and their families, including health, financial security, and personal fulfillment. I'm joined today by volunteer MJ Lee, who's helping us out with the tech today, and also another AARP colleague, Samantha Alonso, who is joining us from our Los Angeles office. Suzanne, tell us who's in the audience today.
Well, Sophie, we have folks from truly across the country, from coast to coast. We have some folks from California here, San Jose, Woodland Hills, all the way to Annapolis, Maryland, and all in between. We have Tucson, Arizona, folks from Arizona, Nevada, Oklahoma, truly everywhere.
Wonderful. Thanks so much. Oh, I just saw. Hi, Jill from Savannah, Georgia. Welcome. So glad that you could be with us today. Well, before we jump into meeting with Carrie, we'd like to do a quick poll to see who's in the audience. So if you could quickly submit your answers to the poll when it comes up, please share with us. Are you caring for someone with dementia currently? You anticipate that you will be, or you're not quite sure yet. And that's totally okay too. We hope that if you're here and not sure, that you're here to collect information. Great. It sounds like we have a lot of folks in the audience today who are currently in caregiving mode, and that's 67% of you. And then some of you here are anticipating that you will be, and some not quite sure yet. Thank you so much for answering the poll. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker. Carrie Alberts, also known as Dementia Darling on her social media platforms, is dedicated to improving the lives of those impacted by dementia. As Dementia Darling, she's nurtured a safe space for dementia caregivers online with over 50,000 followers and counting. She provides education resources and and a lot of encouragement for caregivers. She was recently featured as one of the trainers on the online series for caregivers sponsored by the California Master Plan on Aging. Carrie is also a member of AARP's Age Tech Collaborative. And we're super excited to share that she will be one of the speakers at the upcoming Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas in the AARP booth. Carrie has a master's in gerontology and over a decade of experience in dementia care. You can follow her on at Dementia Darling on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Threads, and TikTok, or join her for her podcast, Gather Darlings. Carrie, welcome. It's so great to see you.
I'm so happy to be back. If you were part of our first try of this, let me tell you, we were doing this originally in November, and as I was getting in the groove of this beautiful presentation, um, my Zoom just said, "Not today," and left, and I kept talking and lost everyone. So thank you for your flexibility. Thank you for showing up, and I'm just so excited to be here with you today. So let's get a little prayer out there for the technology that it stays stays in context so we can be together today. So thank you for having me. Really excited to get going here. Okay. So I am going to share my screen if you are all ready to go. Let's see here. Okay. Please let me know if you can't see my screen, and I will do my best to look in the chat, and we will get going. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. Let me
It's looking
see.
good.
We're looking good. Okay. I'm so paranoid now. Um, So please let me know. Okay. So thank you all for being here. I love that you just did that survey because it gives me a good idea of who I'm talking to. And I first want to say thank you. Thank you, caregivers. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the care you provide. Thank you for doing the hardest job on earth. And it's often not something we choose, right? We don't wake up one morning and say, I want to be a dementia caregiver. It's so difficult. And you are seen, you are not alone. There are millions of you that feel alone. And that doesn't sit right with me. And that's why I do what I do. So I'm really excited to be here in community with you and to help in any way that I can. This is a new presentation for me. And I love that I can share this information with you and hopefully help you to set yourself up for success in the home. Because again, this is the most difficult job with no guidebook. So we're going to go through our dementia-friendly home, just a little bit in general and then room by room. And I just want to really thank AARP California for having me. This is a true honor. I was one of those kids that, wanted an AARP account even at a young age. So I love this. So thank you. Okay. So, as was said, thank you for the lovely intro. I won't go through it again, but yes, I'm Dementia Darling and so grateful to be in this community with you. And as was stated before, being in this field, what really made me want to step into this Dementia Darling support role was meeting family caregivers in my experience and in real life, and often being the first person to say thank you to them in years and to ask them how they were doing, not just their loved one, and seeing them. And I wanted to make sure that, as my mission of Dementia Darling, that no caregiver ever feels alone, because that's the last thing you need on this journey is to feel alone on top of it. That doesn't sit right with me. So we are going to get into all the things that I can to get out to you, but please know, dementia is so intricate and so many layers to it. And this is, just one part of the journey. So please, join me at Dementia Darling on all social media and my website and Gather Darlings, my podcast. So I can help you with all the things and try to support you in all the things that dementia can bring on this journey. So let's go forward here. So a little bit, like I said, we're going to go tips for the entire home that are, blanketed, and then some room specifics, and then my favorite resources. I'm going to actually have you all receive a PDF of a long list of all my favorite things that are legitimately made for dementia caregivers. What a joy. And for people living with dementia. And that's why I'm so excited to be a part of the H-Tech Collaborative with AARP, because I get to see technology that's literally being created for you, for this community, for your loved ones living with dementia. What a gift. Finally, right? We're being seen, and we're going to have more tools in our toolbox. Okay. And I just like to say that a little disclaimer in the sense of, as I just said, dementia is so intricate and everyone has a different experience with dementia. That's what makes it even harder to teach, to learn about, to care for, because it's a progressive disease and it will affect everyone differently. Everyone will have a unique journey with dementia. So not all safety things that I say here will be appropriate for your situation. You might not ever have to use certain, tips that I'm telling you because it might not even be something that is, applicable to your person. So just putting that out there that, use what is needed and keep things in mind. And in dementia care as caregivers, we really have to do that of trial and error because we don't know how it's, what works. Some things work 1 minute and then they don't the next. That's what makes dementia so difficult. And these are not guaranteed to keep everyone safe, right? It's just help, hopefully this will prepare the environment for the best possible quality of life and to support them in their safety as much as possible. But something I like to say, because in the past I've heard that, senior communities, for example, a memory care community might tell a family, oh, your person, we guarantee they won't fall. Please don't ever think that someone can guarantee that. You can never guarantee that someone won't fall. that is part of life. That is part of risk. If you have dementia or not, we fall and that happens, but we can do our best to set ourselves up for success. So, and again, thank you for the care you provide and for keeping those you love safe. Okay. So I just wanted to touch on aging and, oh, I went past. Hello. Oh, I'm going back. There we go. There we go. I want to touch on aging in place. This is a term that means that we allow older adults, we allow people that are changing, maybe experiencing brain change, to live independently and comfortably at their home by setting themselves up for success, right? In dementia, we often say, we want them to be in a home-like, familiar environment. So aging in place is very attractive to people. Of course, we want to stay in our homes. We want to be independent. And with adapting our environment and utilizing, different technologies and supports, and bringing those in, and doing things that might seem small but really can have a big impact to keep people aging in place as long as possible. Okay. Now, we are going to talk for a second about falls because, again, like I just said, we can't say we can prevent falls completely. That's just not possible. Over 15 million older adults in the US experience falls annually. So, this is the leading cause of injury and fatalities in this age group. That's intense to hear, right? So this, of course, we know falls really impact the caregivers, right? That adds more stress. You're more scared about their safety, and they might have broken a hip with that fall. Now they're in the hospital, and that might lead to a progression in their dementia. It is scary stuff. Falls are no joke. So this is something we definitely have to be aware of. Okay, some general tips. Let's get in here. Limit clutter. I think this is really, I think we know this, but it's hard. I know many older adults that have a lot of stuff. When you live a long time, you have a lot of things, and it's hard to take away and limit things. But unfortunately, that is something we really have to think about. The less that is around, the better. We need to make sure we only have the things that are necessary. We only have the things that are really needed to be out in front of them. And so they have the space and they have that room, because that can even exacerbate confusion if we are just surrounded by a ton of stuff as well. It can be overstimulating. So we want to limit that clutter, so we're not tripping over things and, again, being overstimulated by it all. Okay. Lighting, this is absolutely essential. And if you've dealt with sundowning and you're familiar with that, when the sun is changing and the day is turning to evening, lighting can really play into confusion as well. But lighting is essential at all times of the day, so we know where we're going. We can see if there's something in front of us. We really want to make sure that we're making things well lit in the home, specifically, the stairs or hallways, or at nighttime when they find themselves needing to go to the restroom. We need to set them up for success in those instances with the right lighting. Okay. This one is a biggie for me. And I think you might notice too, I feel like around the holidays, a lot of things look edible that aren't. Maybe decorations, fake candies, whatever it may be. But please be mindful of things that resemble food but are not edible. And that can be a lot of things. I was shocked to see these beautiful soaps, but they looked like brownies recently, and I was like, I would eat that. So different things like that can be confusing. Having little things, maybe even marble type things, can look like candy, or people that have the fake fruits. We all have probably those in our homes at one time or another. Those aren't helpful and make it confusing, right? And an example I also like to see is, I saw a thing of spackle the other day sitting out, and it looked like icing. It was hot pink. It looked like cake icing. I would put my finger in it and try to eat it. So being aware of that, being conscious of what really do things look like in the home, and how can that be perceived maybe differently. And that goes along with the clutter aspect, right? So we even in like the restroom, I'll talk about having all the tubes of like toiletries we need. They can look similar, or maybe even it could look like I've seen shaving cream that looks like whipped cream. Keeping things in specific places to make sure they're as safe as possible. Okay. Oh, and I want to say one more thing about that. When I was doing painting and stuff, sometimes the paint, like if you use a normal size cup, right, that looks like something you would drink out of, but you're using it for paint water, that can be very distracting, very difficult for people to decipher if that's something they can drink or not. It can look like juice or what have you. So keep in mind that too. So, who has heard of color theory? I am so in enthralled with the idea of colors really playing into our lives. And can you tell I'm a color girl? I have pink hair, for goodness sakes. But I've learned actually through some dementia research that pink has been seen to help with agitation and aggression and calm people. So maybe that's, I need to go back in time and have this when I was in direct care, and that could have helped me. Who knows? But the science is really interesting to me. And for example, red, this is said to stimulate appetite. So you might see it in different places where you can buy plates that are meant for people living with dementia. They're often red because, for example, what if you had mashed potatoes on a plate and maybe a chicken and it's on a white plate? It might just blend in and they don't see their food, and that's why they're not eating it, because it's not standing out. So contrast is important, and red is really helpful in those times. And then we have blue, which I think we can agree with in some capacity in all our lives, can be a calm thing, a light blue, a beautiful sky blue that can help us reduce anxiety, and can just really help with that calmness aspect. And same with green. But another thing with green is I've learned, and studies show that like a lime green, a really, even in the corner here of my, of my page, of my screen, that really bright green, electric green, is one of the last really prominent colors people with dementia can see well. So you will often hear, OTs say, an occupational therapist say, are they forgetting their walker? They might not really notice it anymore. So let's put green tape around the handlebars so maybe they're more attracted to it. Let's put green tape on the floor where they need to, where they can park their wheelchair so they can see that better. There's different ways you can utilize green in, to make it stand out for people. So if you want someone to see something, maybe consider using a green. And then black. This can be perceived as a scary or intimidating hole. Honestly, it can look like there's a hole in the floor. If you saw, I live in Las Vegas. Going into casinos, there's often the floors. First off, they look slick, so they're scary because people think they're going to fall. And then on top of it, there's often black spots, and it looks like you're going to fall through. For example, if you have a black toilet at home, I know not a ton of people do, but I was just somewhere where they did, and I was like, oh, how scary would this be? People wouldn't someone living with dementia might think they're going to fall through a hole and would not use that. So please be aware of these colors. It actually plays a lot into it. So again, I've seen this used for people, and I'm not saying this is something I necessarily condone or, think is dignified, but it is used as a tool, and it can be really helpful for safety. I'm not going to lie. But it's a fear tactic. But putting, a black color mat in front of the door, if someone is exit seeking, can deter them, maybe because they think there's a hole in front of the door they can fall into. So if you have someone who might be scared to go outside, see if there is a black mat in front of your home that could be doing that, and be really impacting their quality of life. Because how scary would that be? I've even heard people that thought the drain in the shower looks like a hole they're going to be sucked into. This is a real fear. Okay. So again, using contrasting colors can be really helpful. If your loved one lives in a community or even at their home and they need more help with deciphering which door is theirs, maybe a wreath that's that lime green might be helpful for them. Okay, so think about things like that. Familiar items are so important. As I said before, we need to focus on, the items that bring joy and that we can put around someone to remind them, who they are, what's important to them, whether that be pictures, a special blanket, a teddy bear. But again, making sure there's not too much clutter, but those important familiar items are so wonderful as a way to provide comfort and to remind them that this is their home, this is their place, that they can feel safe. And one thing I like to make known is that older images of a person might be more helpful in providing comfort than providing pictures that are more recent. So I had a really sad instance where I thought I was doing the coolest thing in the world. I had glamour shots done for my beautiful women I was supporting as an activity director in memory care, and we did pictures of them and they were all dolled up. They loved that part. But weeks later, when I had them printed for Mother's Day, there were about 3 or 5 women that felt heartbroken because that's not who they saw themselves as. So they thought I was lying to them and telling them who they were. And they go, that's not a picture of me, because they might be in their dementia where they are in their 20s. They're in their 30s. They do not see themselves as that age. And that is really important to recognize. If you're seeing agitation with someone looking in a mirror or looking at old, newer pictures of themselves, this could be the issue we're dealing with. So please keep that in mind. Okay, let's go room by room. So a little bit with entryway and outdoor areas, I kind of just said, you can utilize certain things to decorate the door to help people realize where they're at, which can be really helpful to kind of, see their home easier, their door. Make sure the lighting on the walkways, right? We need to have maybe motion activated lights going up to the door or anything that can help them so we're not falling, right? And then, even marking glass doors, I will not lie. I have walked through a screen door, taken it down, and fell right flat on top of that door on the floor and broke this person's door. So mark those glass doors. If you have a glass door in front, out to the outside, that's, in front of your front door or what have you, or those sliding glass doors, make sure they're marked so we're not running into those doors. And I really love the technology of utilizing ring cameras, being able to see if someone walks out of the front door, or, being able to just kind of have that helpful way of keeping track, but you can still kind of keep your distance, but have that safety aspect. And then, and you can also, through like a Ring doorbell, you could talk to someone through it. And if someone's having trouble with keys, doing, their fingerprint or the numbers can be much more useful and applicable now. And then again, that door decor. Living room, again, those tripping hazards. We want to make sure those rugs, and I just spoke with a woman actually who, it was a huge deal having to replace her grandma's rugs, because those were part of her history. Those were part of her life. She did not want to give up her rugs, but they were like this thick on the sides and she was tripping and all the time. And she said, the caregiver said, I couldn't believe how much went into picking a new rug because it was that important to her. But I made sure, I brought in many different kinds until she agreed and we could find a common ground. I know it's hard. We see our loved one getting so much independence, so much of them taken from them, and then we're told to take more. I know it's so hard. But again, their safety is what is most important. And the pet toys all over the floor, pets, right? Tripping over pets. But utilizing TV remotes that are universal or have the bigger buttons and less buttons can be really helpful. They are out there. Using clocks with large screens or adapted phones, which I have on my resource page for you, all these things. These are really important. I don't know about you. I have 5 remotes for one TV. Let's get it to 1 remote if possible, right? And being aware what's on TV, okay? I have a really hard time with, hearing about people putting on the news all day. And what if there's, during, like, I once was working with people during a natural disaster, and man, that fixation and that worry was so hard to help them get out of and redirect from. So making sure we're aware of what's on our TV screens and what they're taking in, because even watching, certain movies or what have you, those can feel like real events for people, and they have a hard time deciphering what was real and what was not. And let's say you're watching true crime, you're watching Dateline, whatever, that's scary, and that might feel real in their home, and that might put them in a state of fear. So we want to be aware of that. I've even had someone who couldn't watch The Office because any time there was bickering, she thought her husband was upset with her. So you never know what someone might be experiencing. Kitchen, get rid of unnecessary items. Again, we need to make sure we have as little as possible, just necessities to set them up for success, because it can just be too much. And keeping things at an accessible height, right? We don't want someone to think they need to get on a chair to reach the high things in their tall cabinets. Just don't even have that up there. It needs to be accessible, so we're not, getting them in other situations where they could fall. And then, labeling cabinets can be really helpful in drawers. This is where the plates are, just as a reminder, or step by step of, here are your coffee filters. You put, and then you could even write this down. Coffee filter here. Now put in coffee, machine. Now pour water. Whatever it may be, we can set them up for success when we break things down by tasks and label and support them by only giving them what is necessary. Okay. Again, as I talked earlier, that contrasting dishware is very helpful. Red, again, very helpful. And you will see that in a lot of dementia specific products where it will be red for you. Same with the adaptive silverware. And these will most likely be red. And then another thing for dignity that I love is a clothing cover up. We're not going to call it a bib, but it's a cover for their beautiful clothing so we, if we get food on us, that's okay. And we can use that. There are beautiful, dignified clothing cover-ups that look like a pashmina, look like a scarf, and we can provide that for them to have the best possible, dignified experience. Okay. And then keep cleaning supplies in a separate place to avoid being seen as edible, as kind of I said before about edible items. The blue Windex could look like mouthwash. There's so many things that can just be deceiving. So being aware of that, and then using emergency technology devices as well can be beautiful. You can actually get timer plugins to turn off your stove, or the turning, little dials on your stove. You can get covers on those and things like that to help. But, use those timers like you would, for a crock pot. And, you can put those kind of things in and try to make them as set up for success as possible by using those kind of safety devices in the kitchen. Bedroom. We want to ensure a safe sleeping environment, right? So some people might roll around. Bed rails can be really helpful. And you can buy those, on Amazon. I have my Amazon storefront I'm going to share with you. There's some, great safety groups that you can buy from, and keep them in their room, as safe as possible. Again, managing that lighting, having, automatic lights on if they're someone who goes to the restroom during the night. And again, as well, you could bring in, if the bathroom's too far for them and it becomes too difficult, do we get one of those bathroom chairs for the room for nighttime to utilize, so it's less of a ordeal to go to the restroom. And then simplifying items and labeling dressers to reduce decision fatigue can be really helpful. Something that's really important, well, I think this is a really important tip, is again, that overstimulation, too many choices, too much going on. If you're helping in any instance, let's say we're getting dressed, 2 options at a time. Let's go stick with 2 options. So like if we were in the kitchen, coffee or tea. Are we going to wear a sweatshirt or a sweater today? Whatever it may be. But keep it to 2. That's going to help everyone. Bathroom. So important, right? So this is where it's scary. This is where people fall. a lot. It's slippery, it's confusing, it's all the things there. Yes, scary sometimes. So installing grab bars, having a raised toilet seat, it can be hard to sit all the way down in a low toilet and then get back up. That can be really difficult. Utilizing shower chairs. I love a good shower chair. And to be able to sit and keep that leg strength when you're in there can be really helpful. So setting them up for success by, again, simplifying toiletries, giving them just what they need, labeling, shampoo and body wash, the differences, maybe having them separate or giving them one thing at a time, but keeping things accessible and very clear what they're there for. And then again, using non-slip mats as much as possible. You want to make sure it is as safe as possible for them. Okay. Water temperature is a big one, right? Our skin gets a little, more sensitive. It changes as we age. And really, really hot showers that we used to enjoy might be painful, might be scary. So that's a really important thing to make sure we're, checking water temperatures. And also people living with dementia do sometimes get to a point in their progression where they can't decipher different temperature changes as well. So you might notice your loved one wearing sweaters or multiple layers in the middle of the summer, and you're like, how are you not dying of heat stroke? We can't regulate our body temperature or understand our body temperature as much anymore, and to be able to communicate that. So keeping an eye on body language and how they're utilizing water temperature can be really helpful as well. They might not know they're burning their skin, let's say, too. That's why I love also the blue hug. This is a garment that is a dignified shower garment that is a wonderful way to cover their body while they're in the shower, and you can put kind of warm water on it so it sticks with them and keeps them warmer while you're washing them. And then you have little kind of pocket windows where you can get to washing their body without completely exposing them, which is wonderful. Because it's hard to you guys know, have your to bathe our parents. And it's hard for your parents to be bathed by their children. That can be really, really difficult. So this is something that can be a beautiful tool. And again, be aware of mirrors. This can be triggering, as I stated before. Stairs and hallways. So lighting, we want to install motion lights again. As I said, we want to make sure there's handrails, sturdy handrails, and those steps need to be clearly noticeable. Sometimes we get to that bottom step and we can't decipher from the bottom step and the floor, and we just miss that. So making sure there's some contrast there, and get rid of those rugs. We do not need another tripping hazard in our way. And then some garage and outdoor areas. So again, we want to secure hazardous items such as tools or chemicals. And I'm not saying, again, I really am all for independence. I'm all for dignity. I'm all for the Montessori of approach to dementia, not taking things away, but adapting and supporting people. So I'm not saying take away all of your, dad's tools. That is part of his identity of, helping and things like that, but being appropriate with how we're giving them the opportunities to utilize the tools, or, in safe ways, if that makes sense. But I don't want to say like, take all the things away, and, because that's on the line of dignity too, and they are adults. But just setting them up for, safety with keeping different chemicals away. If you have, things that keep bugs away in the yard, having those locked up away, and limiting that access. That might just be risky. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to have some resources, and I'm going to put that in the chat, and then I'm going to explain some resources right now, and then we'll go into our chat here, and I can answer some questions. But let me just put this so you guys can see what I'm as well. But I will make sure you have this PDF, and then I'm trying to find my, whoop, okay. So I think you can, oh, where did my, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay. So I wanted to share with you a couple of my favorite resources. This is one of them, Zinnia TV, which is a way to you can utilize video and TV programming that is made for people living with dementia. This can be very helpful. As I said before, TV can be triggering. The news can be triggering. Things are hard for caregivers to mitigate, right? Even YouTube, some of those commercials come up, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So Zinnia eliminates that. This is like having, any type of app on your smart TV, like you would at Netflix. It's the same, but it's actually made for people living with dementia, and they have support for the caregivers as well. And all the things in here. It's incredible. You will love it. And I'm just such a fan of Zinnia TV, and no plot lines to follow. Just very relaxing and beautiful, and again, made for you and your loved ones. SingFit. I love SingFit, and you can use my 20% off with code DD20. But I love SingFit, and my girl Stacy from SingFit is on today. So thank you, Stacy, for being here. We are both proudly part of the HTech Collaborative and with AARP. And SingFit is an app where you can utilize personalized music that means something to your loved one to help with engagement, to help with, if they're anxious, if they're sad, if whatever it may be, for connection. And it's cool because it actually sets you up with the words that are coming if you like to put that on as an option. If they need kind of the cueing of the words, it'll give them that out loud, and so they know what's coming and can sing with the song, and can feel a part of that. So please check out SingFit. Wonderful. So if you are looking for support, please, you're not alone. And AARP, I have AARP on my list, of course, and their family caregiving site. Oh my gosh, it's brilliant if you haven't looked through it. It's touches on everything. And support groups can be kind of intimidating. I get it. And when we show up to a support group where we don't feel seen, that can be really hard because we're looking around and we say maybe, oh, I'm not in the same position as them. I can't relate. Or you will find your people. Do not give up. It is so valuable to feel seen, to have people to talk to that get it. And they're out there, millions. So I really love to share Lisa's Care Connection by Lisa Gibbons. She has amazing groups and very specific groups too. Same with HFC, Hilarity for Charity, Seth and Lauren Rogan's amazing foundation for Alzheimer's caregivers, but dementia caregivers at large. And they have different groups that you can join. Millennial caregivers, men caregivers. Find your people. They are out there, and finding your support group can be life-changing. I know one gentleman who is in 6 dementia support groups, and he gets something different from each of them, and it helps him keep going. So please do not be scared because I get it. It's scary. You can show up and just observe sometimes with your screen off if you want to, but know that they're there for you, okay, when you need them. Bridgetown Music Therapy, a Music with Alexis, is an at-home music therapist on your screen that will sing along with your loved one and give them joy, and give them an opportunity to sing as well with a music therapist, which is a beautiful thing. And it's, again, on your screen. She has free events as well that you can join in together. This is such an amazing group. Okay, these two women, I love them so much, Cindy and Christina. They have such a beautiful community, and they share all the cool tech, adaptive equipment that's out there that can help with safety, that can help make your life easier. And there are centers all around in each state, apparently, where you can try different tech, and they can even you can get it sent and try it out before paying for it. They're a really cool program. So check them out and see what is in your state, and see what, their videos might show you things that you never knew were out there that can help you with, finding the right tools and adaptions to keep your loved one safe in their home, and keep that quality of life up, right? So these two share a lot of goodness. Rune, if you are not familiar with Rune, this is a free platform And you can go on here, and there are, and I'm finally on it. I'm so proud. Next to some of my favorite people ever, and it's caregivers, doctors, foundations, all the people living with dementia, and they're answering questions, and it's free. It's like person in your back pocket where you can watch a 3-minute video. Usually that's about it. So it's quick, and it'll say, "What do I do in this situation? What do I do when this happens? Why is my person progressing like this?" And you can get real videos from amazing experts right there. And yeah, the caregivers on this platform that are sharing their stories, sharing their personal experiences to help others, it is so valuable. So please check out Rune. It's an incredible place. And here's me. So you can reach out to me. The QR code looks really funky, but it does work. At least it did for me. But please go to my website. I have, different lists and different resources, and I'm always trying to share specifically on my social media pages and anywhere that I can in my life to share any technology that I find. And after CES, I know I'm going to have more to share with you that's made for our community. I'm always sharing resources, and I know that I'm not the only one that people need on their dementia journey. We need a whole village. We need to, follow multiple dementia educators, get all the different, perspectives. And I did see my friend in here, who is Brianna from Bamboo Care. Bamboo Care is such a fabulous platform and support for family caregivers. And please look them up as well. But this is just, it gives me hope, you guys. Like I said in the beginning, there are such beautiful companies that are out here doing the work and want to support you. And we're trying to get to the people that need us. And just please reach out to me if you have a specific question, if you need a specific resource. I want to connect you with who you need on this journey. And again, that might change because this is a progressive journey, right? This is a progressive disease. So truly, I want you all to know from the bottom of my heart, you are doing an amazing job. It might not feel like it every day, because we're human and we like to beat ourselves up. But you are showing up, and showing up is everything, you guys. And if you find people, I know I often hear people that are scared to visit their loved ones because they don't want to mess up. You're not going to mess up. Lead with love, be there, listen, show them that you're there, tell them they're safe. We all want to feel safe. We all want to feel seen. And that doesn't stop with dementia. And please know that you can't take away your loved one's grief or sadness. They're still human. They're going to have bad days. And that's not a reflection on you or your care. They're human. And so are you. And I want you to take care of yourself. And I know that's really hard. And I often get, with what time? And I get that. But if you can allow yourself, because you are worthy, and you don't have to take care of yourself for your person, because we often say, what would happen to your person if you couldn't do it? That doesn't need to be a reason. You are worthy of being healthy. You deserve to be healthy. So let's find the supports. Let's find who we need in our journey so we can focus on ourselves as well. You are not alone. You are seen. You are loved. And you do not have to go through this alone. And neither does your person living with dementia. And if the people that you thought were going to show up didn't, I'm really sorry. But we can now find our people that will show up. So that's my little presentation for you, and we're going to go into questions now. Okay, so thank you for listening. Please don't hesitate, don't be scared to ask questions. And one more thing I'm going to say is, please don't be scared to reach out to caregivers you see online. If you feel a connection and you see, oh my gosh, this girl that's sharing her story, because many caregivers are sharing their truth, their everyday life. And if you relate, please don't be scared to reach out. They will be so happy to talk to you and to see you and help. Don't be scared, because we want to support each other, and we need to support each other. So I hope this was helpful for some of you. Oh, one more thing, it's on my list. I'm doing a self-care cruise because we all deserve self-care at sea. So if you want to join me next year at sea in October, but just wanted to put that out there. But let's do some questions. What do we have? What can I help with?
Thank you so much, Carrie. You shared some powerful information, and we do have a number of questions in the chat. So I'm going to turn over to
Do it.
Sam and ask, what do you see? What are folks asking, Carrie?
I have a
Okay.
couple of questions here, Carrie. So one question we have here is, how can I get mom to take time away for herself to trust me or count on me to care for dad in her absence?
Man, that is so real. First off, you're not alone if you're feeling that way. I know so many people that are feeling that way. And it's really hard for family caregivers to step away because we often don't feel that the person coming in is going to do the level and quality of care our loved one deserve and what we can provide, right? And that guilt comes in. Guilt is the biggest monster that many caregivers deal with, and it's not fair. Um, so what I like to say is supporting them in the and validating. I know I'm not going to give him what you give him because you are his person, but you can set me up for success, teach me everything, you think I need to know, and I will do the best I can to keep him safe and to make sure he is loved. And let's just try it. Validating. You're allowed to feel that way. I get it. I get it. But let me try. Can I try an hour? So you can maybe even just be in the home, take a shower and a nap. You'll be right there. Try small things. It's hard to give up any of our control when it's our person because we think if anything happens, it's a reflection of us. So just being real about it. I get it. I get it, mom. I get it. But you need to fill your cup and I want to help you. So how can I make you feel comfortable for you to do that? Is a good conversation starter, but I don't have a foolproof approach because it's so hard. But validation is key.
That's really great advice, Carrie. We
Thanks.
also have another question that refers to something you mentioned earlier about how mirrors could be potentially triggering. So this question is, if dementia patients see themselves as a different age, would it be advised to cover mirrors?
So some people might think it's like a friendly person. I don't know if you've seen, so sometimes it's not an issue. I don't know if you saw a lovely woman who went viral. She passed away this in the summer, but she went viral for the woman in the mirror she thought was just so beautiful and was her friend. And she talked to her every day and she loved her friend. And that's a good thing, right? But then I've had people go, there's a man in my house. Why is he there? Or if a wife was helping her husband, I've heard this in the bathroom in the mirror shaving, and he goes, "Why are you with another man? Why are you with you're cheating on me?" That's real. That is real. And I'm going to go dark for a second, I know. But I remember when a story went huge when I was in college of a man who, and I didn't go through this, but please get rid of guns if possible and lock them up, get them out of the house. But this man was scared at night because he saw a reflection. And so he went and got his gun. And then in the mirror, he saw another man with a gun. So he shot because he thought there was another man. That is very real. That's really real. So yes, I cover them up. If you have any inclination that there's negativity there. But again, it doesn't work. It's not an issue for everyone. So just be aware of that though. And I know hiding mirrors is not always easy when they're literally part of the room. So do your best to kind of mitigate from being in those spaces as much as possible.
We have another question. This one's regarding labeling items. So this person finds that after they've, initially posted or labeled, made notes on items, um, that it essentially becomes invisible to their loved one.
100%.
So how might they best address that?
First off, isn't that so frustrating? You're probably like spending hours like cutting these out and like doing it, and you're like, this is gonna work. And then it doesn't. So I'm sorry. And that happens so much for family caregivers. It's again, trial and error, right? So maybe, was the font big enough? Was it dark enough? Was our person wearing their glasses when they were in that room? Right? Were they even looking at, was it at height level? Was it, maybe using those greens, maybe using red? Try that. Is it as simple as possible? If we have a ton of words or, keeping it as simple as possible is going to be your best bet. Um, but it's different for everyone. They might come to a time where they can't read. Maybe that was it. Maybe it just was too stressful, so they didn't want to look at them because it was a reminder that it was confusing. So maybe we try pictures. Maybe we put a picture of a spoon and a fork. Maybe we put the plate picture. Try, maybe something else, or on the dresser drawers, shirts and pants, undies, whatever it may be. But uh I know that's really hard. And again, it's different for everyone. But maybe trying the pictures, I would maybe suggest that. Clip art.
So this next one, Carrie, this is actually about being a long distance caregiver, which adds a whole nother element to it all. So
Yes.
how can you find resources to assist when your loved one lives across country, and there's no local family there with them?
So hard. And you are a full-time caregiver, even if you're not there. Your brain's always there, right? You don't get time off mentally. And something that, caregivers can do from afar is utilize the cool services that are out there now, utilize grocery store, deliveries, utilize whatever is possible in that way. To do that, utilize a Ring doorbell camera that you can keep track if they're walking out the front door, and then you can call the neighbor, or you can call the police if necessary, whatever it may be. Um, and having, kind of trying to find that support in their community can be very hard. We don't support each other anymore, right? We don't talk to our neighbors like we used to. So it can be really hard. So finding, I know it's hard to find these people, but geriatric case managers are fabulous for that. Finding, social worker support. Look, your AAA, the Area Agency on Aging in your area, they will be able to direct you in that person's area what resources are available, even if it's a volunteer that checks on them daily or, does a call daily, whatever it may be. There are people in place that you can reach out to. It might cost money. There might be programs. I don't know what, state, or if you're really rural, that's hard. Um, but utilize technology as much as possible. Truly, it can help so much. And if you're, and this is another thing too, if you're a long distance caregiver and you have a another family member or loved one that's taking care of the person in that they're the main kind of physical, you can still support by doing research, by sending those groceries and paying for them, by saying, can I look up, resources for you to take that off your plate? You can do a lot as someone from afar, because of technology. And so really dive into that if possible.
That's all really great info. So we're going to do one more question. This is for folks that may be dealing with a loved one that has aggravated dementia. How might they best deal with that?
So someone who gets really agitated and
Agitated.
okay. Oh, that's a hard one. That's really hard. And as I said again, many times, it's different for everyone. So I don't want to get anyone's hopes up like, oh, this is going to be it. This is going to be the tip that works, because we don't know. And it could work one day and then it couldn't. And then it works again and then it never does again. And, all the things, right? So really being conscious of, first off, your safety. If someone is physically coming at you, you get distance. Do not run towards someone. I'm a hugger, so I would usually be like, "You're sad? Come here," and then like punched, right? So we don't want to do that. So we want to make sure you're safe, and of course they're safe. With maybe if we need some distance, if they're really aggravated, give them space to just get that out. If someone can't communicate anymore, can you imagine how aggravating that would be? I would probably get really agitated too. Who knows if I'd get violent? Because that I would fight back that I don't have my independence or I can't tell you what I'm trying to say. So when we look at that too, and we start looking around, okay, what triggered this? Was there a trigger here? Was something on the TV and I'm noticing every time I turn on the news, they're getting mad. Or every time I start the blender, oh, they're freaking out. So take notes, be a detective, look around. But if your safety is in jeopardy, That is not okay. You as a caregiver do not need to live in fear. So we need to get the help that, and I don't know what that might look like, getting a professional in place, asking the doctor, maybe there's a medication error that's going on. Maybe there's something now that we need to look at different ways to, engage. Maybe something that we used to do together is not enjoyable for them anymore. So we need to change what brings joy for them and find those things. Because if we're, thinking, well, they love playing tennis, they've always played tennis. What if tennis now frustrates them because they don't feel that they can do what they used to do? Okay, how can we do something that's not going to agitate but still fulfill that love of tennis? And being, okay, maybe now we talk about our favorite tennis players and watch tennis on the news or on the TV, things like that. So being a detective, and stepping back, giving them their space. If they're good, close the door and let them kind of do their thing. Sometimes we just got to get it out of our system, right? Um, Give them ways to get that stress out in a safe way, whether that's let's go on a walk and I maybe walk a little further behind you, but let's get some energy out. Whatever it may be. I hope that helps, but this is such a hard one because it's different for everyone. And but what I say is find those triggers. Try to figure out that, and then you can hopefully eliminate or adapt. But take care of you too, and please ask the doctor because you should not be safe and see what they maybe suggest or have experienced. Oh wait, you're muted. There we go.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sam, for monitoring the chat. I know we have a couple of questions that we were not able to get to today, but I do want to let you know that we will be sending all of the folks who registered for today's program a copy of the PDF that Carrie shared in the chat. So don't worry if you weren't able to grab it. We will mail it to you. We also will be sending you a recording of the Zoom, and this will be just for those who registered for the program. Also wanted to share that MJ is putting in the chat some upcoming programs with AARP. We will be showing Thelma, the film about the grandma who takes revenge about being a victim of a phone scammer. So that starts on the 13th of this month. And she's put the link in the chat. And in January, we're going to be doing some Valentines for folks who need a little sweetness and love. So if you're interested in joining the Cupid crew, please join us in January for that. Thank you so much, Carrie. This has been great. I encourage folks to check out all of the different ways that you can reach her on her social media and her website. Thank you again. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being caring caregivers and giving your all. Appreciate it so much. And please know that ARP also has resources for you to support your journey as a caregiver. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. This concludes today's program.
Thank you.
Thanks. I think
Okay.
it's just the four of us now.
Is it?
Yes. Great.
Oh,
Thank you so much, Carrie. That was so awesome. And everything went really, really well.
thank goodness.
Totally